Oh
Okay.
boy.
Hello, everybody, and here we are with another edition of For Those Who Believe, this fabulous podcast that we're doing for all the sons and daughters of the Casa all over the world. And today I'm just delighted and really, really happy to have my beautiful friend Matthew Foley flying
Hello.
out of hiya, flying out of Maryland, believe it or not, and flying all over the place. A beautiful son of the Casa. And we were just saying before we came on air there how we have been chatting for the last few minutes like we are just
Yeah.
met each other last week. There is no time or space or borders or boundaries between the entities and us. And we are just one collective consciousness that is just flowing all together on a parallel universe right across the globe. And whatever we're doing, we're just multiplying this high vibration. And I always like to thank Medium Joao for bringing us together. Um, because without his mission, we would not be talking. And there are so many of us connecting together in these podcasts, and everybody gets something out of it. Something might resonate with somebody. But I just wanted to find out from you, first of all, how you found out about the Casa. You did mention the Omega, and then how it changed your life, because we were all changed
Yes.
dramatically. And now, how in 2025, how we're moving into another sphere of
Right.
consciousness. It is growing and we need to stay very grounded, which is kind of hard. Not where
It
you
is.
are, because you're up in the sky most of the time. So tell us your story, Matthew, because you look great and I love
Oh,
you.
I love you more. Well, I've just always been looking for spirituality. I knew that I had a little something extra since a kid and was always trying to figure out what it was and what have you. And I've had some sessions and meetings with some pretty well-known mediums, and a lot of times they would say, "Well, do you feel like you're a full trance medium?" And I, at the time, I didn't know what it was, and I still don't feel like I'm a full trance medium per se. But I had heard it enough that when I had gotten the Omega catalog back in 2008, I saw that this medium from Brazil was coming. So the way I heard about Dawn of God was through myself. And so I booked the trip and went and had some pretty profound experiences.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting.
But did you feel like when you were there that you were different from a lot of the people who were there? Because we all lined up, we all were waiting
Right.
in this line to see this man, and we all thought it was about
Yeah.
the man. And there was nothing bigger than that. It was just we were lining up to talk to a man like talking to a doctor in a doctor's office. But for you,
Mm.
you had a
Yeah.
profound experience that was
Yeah.
completely different from most people. Can you talk a little
Sure.
bit about that?
Yeah. And I think that a lot of your viewers will that feel the same way. I knew from the get-go going there that it wasn't per se ever him. I knew it was the spirits, the entities that were working through him. So I never had that fascination with the man, so to speak. I had the fascination with how is somebody able to incorporate or allow this to happen. So when I was walking down the receiving line the first time, he's in full incorporation sitting in the chair, and there's 40 people in front of me, 30 people in front of me down the line waiting to, just walk by, just to walk by. Well, I could see the medium in full cooperation and I could see spiritual energy around him. But what I could also see, which was very kind of like took me back for a second, was so to the right of me down the line, I could see John of God in spirit form way down at the end of the line, looking at the line as it was getting prepared to come. So I'm not saying that that was the medium Joel or himself, but it was the spirit energy I could see looking at everybody coming down, getting ready,
Oh,
getting prepared. And I would say that for people that could see that as well, you felt like they were only locking eyes on you. So if
no.
you could see that, It was as if you could only, that was only locking eyes on you. So that took me back before I even got up to, even just brush a hand, that was a little profound itself. And the
Absolutely.
yeah, the energy work was pretty intense, pretty interesting. Had a fabulous, fabulous time there. And the drive home, which is from where I lived in Massachusetts at the time, was like 3.5 hours. And I'll never forget this. I was driving home. It was a beautiful day, and all the clouds, I kept looking, because your senses are so wide open because you've been worked on.
Yes.
I could see like the outline of giant angels in the clouds the entire drive home, and it seemed like the drive only took 45 minutes.
Amazing.
It took 3 hours, but it seemed like it only took 45 minutes. Very bizarre, very strange. It
And your
definitely,
awareness was lifted. You see,
yes,
your whole energy field is lifted
yes,
into another dimension,
it sure is.
and you noticed that. I mean, it took me a while in Abidjan to notice,
Yeah,
oh my God, I'm in this vortex here.
yeah,
And I mean, even looking at an Abidjan cloud today, like I was there a few weeks ago, I'm like, oh my God, look at that. I mean, the Abidjan skies, there's nothing like them. But your awareness was brought into the United States, and you were seeing
yeah.
things that we were still seeing because
It was
our,
opening up. It was opening up for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is
And then it
beautiful
closed
because,
down again. I don't know. It's the journey, It's because we're human. You go through stuff and you're feeling great, you're feeling spiritually enlightened, and then life happens and then you kind of get away from it. And it's an ongoing process. Ongoing process.
yeah. But then when did you come down to Brazil after that? Because I met you in Cafe
Right.
Central and I met you in the Casa,
Yes.
and you came down and we had such fun. We were like little children,
Yeah.
giggling and laughing.
The first time I came down was with Marta from Boston. Hi, Marta. Love you.
Wow.
Um,
Love her, love her.
And
Irish
I
from
think I
Ireland.
went down, yeah. And then I went down twice with Marta, and then I went down, of course, with Mary Ellen. We all know Mary Ellen and love Mary
Oh, I
Ellen.
love her.
So we talk. I have to call her actually. I haven't talked to her for a while since her trip from back from Brazil. But
Yeah.
and I've been down to Brazil probably 3 times, and every single time that I've been called to go down, and people know what I'm talking about. You get a calling, and well, John and I are in a new house. We built this house in 2021, but we were still in Maryland and we were living in our townhouse. And I'll never forget this. It's just so funny. I was in the kitchen and I was washing dishes, and Dr. Cruz came over and he said to me, because I've heard them on occasion. I don't hear them all the time, but I hear them when you're supposed to hear them. And he said, "Hey, we need you to come down to Brazil."
Wow.
Um, and I was like, "Well, that's interesting." I said, "Okay, well," and I was not in a good mood. And I was like, "Well, if you want me to come down, you're going to have to help me because I've got bills I got to pay. And yes, I have the money to come down to Brazil, but I'm not spending all my money to come down, plane tickets and what have you and all that
I
stuff."
know it's expensive.
So just know that the entities are always working with you because um, it was a week before St. Patty's Day, and my mom and one of my sisters came down to Maryland, and we took them to the Cheesecake Factory here in Maryland, which happened to be part of a casino. So we went to so I said, well, I said, Mom, I'll let you play the slots, when we're done. So we finished dinner. We walk out of dinner and we go to in the casino. And all I can tell you is it was like I was being directed where to go to. I went all the way down this hallway. I went all the way to the left. I went to the right. And I played this machine. And the third spin, you're going to think I'm making this up. I'm not. I literally won the entire amount of the plane ticket within $1.50 of what the plane ticket was going to be to go to Brazil. So
Amazing.
when they want you there, they'll get you there. That is for sure.
Yes.
The very first time that I went down to Brazil, so I had gone to Omega, I had met the entities, met John of God, Um, the very first time that I went down to Brazil, I was going to go with Marta to get back to that. And I remember having this conversation with her. I said, I had this dream last night, and at the time I didn't know who I was talking about. I said, and there was this one, I was on this massage table, I was in white clothes, I had a blanket over me, and this woman was doing energy work over me. And I said she had red hair, she had blue eyes, and oh yeah, you know where I'm going with this. And
Yeah.
she said, I had no idea. I had no clue whatsoever. And she said, well, the entity said that you're coming to the casa, and I was told to come and get you prepared before you come. So she did energy work on me. And then in the dream, we walk outside of, the building that I'm in, and I'm in Brazil, and the medium's there with a bunch of the mediums from the casa, all in a horseshoe. And they had me walk up to him, and it's like we grabbed hands, and we connected with hands, and then I woke up. So I told her, I said, that was a pretty strange dream. And she said, I want you to go and check out this person. And so I went on the internet, and I'm looking, and it was the who is it that had the mission for John of God, the entity that came to him, the woman with that hair pictures in the casa, right there, right. Everybody says she's Mother Mary. People think she's Mother Mary. People.
Yeah, well, Chico Xavier said that it's Mother Mary, but she's right there in the door.
Yeah,
Some people say she's Mary Magdalene, but she's definitely the
yeah,
Divine Feminine, and
yeah.
she's absolutely those huge, big whirlpool eyes. And
Right.
I see her all the time when I do the rosary there. She is
I just about fell out.
absolutely,
I just about fell out when I saw it on the computer because I'm like, that's who was
that's
in my
her.
that's who was in my dream. I had no idea who it was. It
It
was very
it was
interesting.
well, they say it's the Divine Mother, but she comes in so many different forms
Yeah.
that it is whatever you perceive her to be, but
Right.
it's those eyes, you can lose yourself in them. And when I do the rosary, sometimes when I'm saying the Hail Mary in Gaelic in the main hall of the Casa, I just fall into her eyes. I mean, I literally get so
Yeah.
overcome sometimes I can barely finish the prayers
Yep.
because it's a transmutation of energy, and it's almost like you're being poured into her, and
Yeah.
she is recalibrating you on a much higher vibration than you
Right.
could ever imagine to be in a physical body on earth, and so expanded. And that's what we were talking about just there now.
Yeah.
Because of the work of the Casa over the last, well, I was there 22 years, until recently, I feel so expanded in the world. I mean, sometimes I have to keep my big mouth shut because a lot of people aren't ready to hear the
Oh, don't I know
message.
that?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm sure where you're working, I mean, you can't just come out on the microphone and start
It's very
talking.
interesting though, because people think that it's very hard for me to do the job. And it has its challenges, but to be completely honest with you, I think I know because I live it every day. If you set the tone and the intention, you're protected. Before I even pull out of the driveway before I go to work, I surround myself, my crew, my aircraft, all my passengers, my hotels, shuttle drivers, everybody with the white light of Christ, above, below,
Beautiful.
around, and through us, so that no negativity or harm shall penetrate our minds, bodies, spirits, or souls. And I'm telling you, it's like you are just washing away the anything that's going to disturb the day or whatever. And
Yeah.
interestingly enough, a lot of people that I work with, know about Matt. So when I get to start talking about spiritual stuff on the plane, this is very interesting because I think people that are watching this will understand too. When you start talking about spiritual stuff on the plane, like if I'm talking about a spiritual stuff with a crew member, they all of a sudden all the passengers have to use the bathroom, and they're always coming up. And I said, notice this. I said, notice this the next time you work and you talk about highly evolved stuff and energy. Notice how it's like they don't even know why they're coming to you. Like everybody has to come in the galley and ask for something, or they have to use it's like moths to the flame. I think people are spiritually starving, and I think that people are seeking and they want, everybody wants to do the best that they can do for themselves. That's the one thing that I do miss about going to Brazil. You know, the entities having the work done, of course, that's wonderful. It's amazing. Um,
Mhm.
and very grateful for that work. I am.
Oh
But
yeah.
but you know, in today's world, that is what I'm missing, as I think a lot of people that watch this that have gone to the Casa too. It wasn't about the medium per se. Yes, it was about the entities and doing the work for us, because anything that ever happened to me was never in the presence of Joao, which I'm very grateful for. It was, you know, when I went back to the room or when I, you know, whatever. But
Yeah.
but the thing that I miss the most is the camaraderie of spiritually minded like people. And I know this
Yes.
is resonating through the walls with everybody that is listening to this. It was just maybe not knowing French, but you have a connection with that person and you can feel it, or knowing Dutch and you can feel it, or German, and you know, we're all there for a commonality and a common purpose. You cannot deny that. You cannot deny the spiritual energy of that,
And
you know?
things like, hummingbirds coming right up to your face
Right.
or a
Yeah.
butterfly landing on your shoulder.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a language to explain that,
Yeah.
or, a toucan flying overhead. Everybody just stops and looks. I mean, there were so
There was
many, the
one there
praying
was one
mantis, the
There was
praying
one time
mantis.
I was there. I was laughing so much because I said, "Oh my God, I think." I was like, "I think Saint Francis is with me today," because I promise you, I went up and down that street, probably in a half a dozen stores, and I had a pack of dogs that were following me. I would go into the store and I'm like, well, maybe I'll lose them there. And then they'd wait for me. And I didn't feed any of them. I wasn't feeding them. I didn't give them any. And like, I was like, this is the most bizarre thing. I mean, they followed me up the street, down the street, whichever store I was going. I'm like, I think St. Francis is with me today.
Pied
It was,
Piper. Yeah,
it was
sure.
hilarious.
I
Hilarious.
know, and
Yeah.
now there's so many animals on the street, and you notice it more because there's less people. But there was so
Yeah.
much going on those streets, between cars flying up and down, the beggars even around the casa,
Yeah.
selling their little tea towels and stuff. It was all part of, and they came in for their soup as well, of course. But it
Yeah.
was like a movie set. It
Yeah.
was almost like um, surreal.
Hmm.
Everybody was in white. People standing around talking to each other that never met each other before, and they were talking like long lost cousins. And then you would just meet somebody perchance in the luncheonette or over at the soup, and you'd end up having the most incredibly deep conversations with people who you literally just met, and
Right.
and it was happening all the time. And
Yeah.
then you go down a waterfall and you have these big blue butterflies just landing on top of your head, and
Right.
monkeys, and it was like paradise, and yet um it all just unfolded naturally and divinely. And I
Yeah.
kept um, everything that happened was meant to happen. It unfolded so organically, uh, like everything was ordained. I mean, uh, no prayer I ever said came from me. I mean, I just put my hand out, grabbed the prayer book, and just opened it on whatever page. I mean, I was
No,
never
you were
planning anything.
totally in channel. When you were doing those, keeping us with the energy moving or whatever, you were there, you were aware of what you were doing, but there was something else going on there.
they,
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
were guiding my every
Absolutely.
word, and they did it so much during COVID that I really noticed it, because it was so busy in the casa when there was thousands of people going through in the lines,
Right.
and then you had to help hold up some of them who were collapsing and that. But during COVID, when I did 610 currents, which I don't even know how I did that, I was
Right.
like a DJ and I didn't have any equipment.
Ugh.
Every single prayer book that I had around me, or if I was looking for a picture for the day, I would just open a book and there's the picture for the day. I didn't choose
Yeah.
anything. I was not in control of anything I was doing. It was completely God. I mean,
Yeah.
God did everything.
Yeah.
And all of those prayers came from a higher source. So I was just a messenger, and
Of
I
course.
found it helped me through a very difficult period, Um, Even though Abidjan was much easier than a lot of places, I'm sure you were very challenged where you were. But
Yeah.
really, Abidjan was very protected, and we were in a bubble, really, on our side of the
Right.
highways. So I'm grateful for that, and that we learned a lot through that. And even though the medium was never there, it didn't really bother us at all. It was just this whole um, God consciousness around us all the time. Then now it's just so lovely. You sit in the Casa Gardens and there's little pussycats there and stuff. But I mean,
Yeah.
you look into the valley and it's infinity. It's forever. I mean, there's something huge happening in the
Refreshing.
portal of the Casa. I mean, it is a portal that will never close no matter what happens. And that valley alone and where the ground is, the sacred ground of the Casa,
Yeah.
is humming. You can feel it under your feet. You go down to the waterfall. I've
Yeah.
never heard anybody come out of the waterfall and say, "Oh my God, that was dreadful." It was just so it is so highly energized, and we need the Casa today in 2025,
Right.
probably more so than ever before. And we don't have to physically go there, even though a lot of people are being called. I hear there's a big group there now. I'm not sure where they're from, but I think that people are being called back there. And if you are being called, go. If you're not, don't, you don't have to go. You can tune in anywhere. And
Right.
I find myself going back a couple of times a year now and really enjoying it because there's less pressure on, having to do work, and I can sit in the current and I can, really sit in those gardens and hear the symphony of birds. And it's amazing how pure the energy is. It's like the world needs the Casa energy, and it is
Yeah.
pumping out this highest of vibrations. And for whatever reason, um, I don't think it'll ever close, but I really feel that it is more necessary now that it is quieter there than it was when there was
To go
thousands of
within.
people. Too much noise. I mean, my God, I used to dread going down on a Wednesday morning thinking, oh my God, how many people are going to be, you know,
Right.
how many people are going to be nearly down at the waterfall road trying to get into the current? And then I'm going to have to tell them that they have to go to the outside current
You
that was
wanted your
only
crew badge. You wanted your crew badge to get it, to get. I'll get you a coffee
no.
at the airport, but yeah, you wanted your crew badge to get to the waterfall.
There were people getting quite stroppy,
Yeah.
saying, what do you mean? I've come 5,000 miles. I have to get into the current. And, you know,
Uh,
I understand this because I if I went there in 2002 or 2003 with my sister,
yeah.
and there was that really heavy sort of pushing and shoving. I mean, there was much less people back in 2003.
You
Um,
probably wouldn't have stayed.
I would have just said, "Feck, this is
Yeah.
ridiculous." And then, I mean, what you
Yeah.
could see what was going on the stage in those days. You could take
Yeah.
cameras because they didn't have, everybody had cameras up and they were taking all this
Yeah.
stuff. And I was pushing my sister to the front all the time because she was in a wheelchair, so I was bullying people out of the way.
Yeah.
And it was a much smaller casa and there was much smaller crowds. So it was much more intimate. And and
Yeah.
then of course Sebastian, the secretary of the Casa, was picking up all the tumors that were thrown on the ground on the main stage and
Oh.
inside and putting them in jam jars in vinegar, to preserve them.
Oh.
And you could see them sitting there when you were putting your prayers in the basket over in his office. And I'm like, "Ooh," like, please. And I'm like, oh, what's that? And he's like, well, that's part of someone's
Nah, I don't want
brain.
to
And I'm
know.
like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. And then around the
I don't want
corner
to
is a
know.
soup. So you're like, oh, I'm not really hungry right now. Um,
Imagine
but
that.
it, but it
Imagine
was
that.
real. I
Yeah.
mean, people were saying, oh, it's a sleight of hand and he's a magician and stuff. But as I learned to work in the current and my head was always around the corner, I mean, in some of the videos, all I could see is
Yeah.
my bloody stupid head. And I saw stuff that I cannot explain. in
Oh,
human form. And I mean, fair play to Marcella. She lives in Vigo in Portugal, Spain border now. I went to see her. She was there picking up lumps of God knows what off the ground. But I could
yeah.
see him with his hands in people's heads and in the stomachs, and sometimes he would just cut people in the back with with a knife. And
Ugh.
you know, there and then I worked in the
I never had
infirmary.
that. I never had anything physical.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I
Maybe
did.
I
I
should
had,
have. Maybe I should have from my nose, Grania.
well, you know, there's always time. You never know. Maybe I'll
I
get
have
in the
to do
chair and do it for you.
meditation tonight. Yeah,
Well, you
yeah,
see, it happens in I had a physical surgery with the entity, but I also had a physical surgery in the current where I thought, why is he standing over me in the front seat of the first current
yeah,
room when I could hear the lines going through? And I knew he was in the chair, but then I thought, why is he standing in front of me in the front row and sticking a pair of scissors up my nose?
yeah,
Um, and then at the end of the current, I said to Tanya, I said, why did the entity leave the chair, come down, stick a needle up my nose? I could feel the pushing of it.
yeah,
And she said he never left his chair. And she said he was an omnipresence, and that you go lie down, you've had an operation, and there was no blood. And even when I had the physical intervention on the outside of the stage, where he actually did stick
yeah.
up his nose. He said he wasn't only doing it for me, he was doing it for my entire ancestral line. No pressure there. And he said he was doing it for my partner, Joao, and his ancestral lines. But I couldn't hear him because I was anesthetized and
Yeah.
there was absolutely and utterly no blood and I was smiling the whole way in to the infirmary. And when I arrived in the infirmary, they're saying, what the hell is wrong with her? Like, what did he do to her? Because there's no sign of any intrusion
Yeah.
at all in the body. There was no blood anywhere. I could hear the pop in my pituitary gland. And after that, I noticed, I don't know what year it was, but I noticed within a matter of days that my whole entire energy field had upshifted, and my awareness,
Yeah.
my peripheral vision and I still have it to this day. My eyesight, I got 20/20 vision back. I can read that small print on the pesto bottles. I've had an absolute miracle in the Casa, from just a physical intervention, which I really wanted to have as just, for the crack, just for the fun of
Yeah.
it. Like, I thought, well, why not? I'm here. I don't, I didn't really treat it as anything sacred. But then when the results showed, I mean, 20/20 vision, and I don't even need glasses for driving, and my whole life was just upshifted, like into like I really, and I mean, like I was already happy, so I was kind of ecstatic at that stage. I mean, it was kind of getting a bit, crazed
Yeah.
how amazing the work was, but they just kept showing us more and more of the work of the God consciousness, and it wasn't about the physical operations. The real miracles were
No, it never
happening
is.
um, in the posadas with people talking to each other, and some people saying, I was just thinking that, or I was just about to say that, or how in the name of God do you know that?
Yeah.
And I know in the cafe, you told me things that only I know. And I
Yeah.
said, Matthew, how do you know that? And you just said, well, I just know. And I went, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is what the real work is, because you were giving me information that only I had privy to, and you were reminding me of my divinity, which nobody had ever
Yeah.
said it before, and it had
Well,
been
I
hit.
think one of the things that I can remember, because I usually forget, because it's not for us to remember. I usually forget what I say to people, and they're like, you told me this," and everybody knows what we're talking about here. And you forget because it's not for you to hold. But one thing I do remember is telling you that I had a visitation from the Blessed Mother when I was 28, and I knew you did too. Without knowing you, I knew she had a visitation from the Blessed Mother as well. As well. Yeah.
And it's an extraordinary experience that can only be
Yeah.
experienced,
Yeah.
and a few people who I knew who had also visitations from the Blessed Mother who tried to describe them to me. I often said to them, you don't need to say any more because I know exactly what you mean,
Yeah. Yeah. The
and
voice
then
from within. The voice from
yeah,
within.
it was a deep
Yeah.
understanding from
Yeah.
eons, from
Yeah.
deep in the human psyche, or
Yeah.
it wasn't even human, it was way back when. And I mean, we were all part of a giant family. I mean, I used to think it
Yeah.
was funny when people used to come in saying, "Well, I'm, John the
Yeah.
Baptist, or I'm this, or I'm that," and I thought, I never made comment to people because if you have to
The
tell me
way
you're
I like
John the
to clean so
Baptist,
much, I was probably cleaning the church floors.
oh yeah, I mean, I
I'm
was,
such a clean freak. I was the one that was with the mop cleaning up the floor. I wasn't anybody
yeah,
famous.
I was just a water boy. I mean, I was just a water person. I mean, God knows what I was doing. I know, when I went into Dachau, I knew where everything was,
Yeah.
way back
Isn't
40
that a
years
trip?
ago. And
Yeah.
I was like, and here is, and a lot of the buildings were missing. And then I turned around and the friends that were with me were saying, how do you know all this stuff? Did you read it in a book? And I said, I don't know. And I knew, literally, I said, well, this is where, the experiments were taking place. And I was talking just like I'm talking to you. And they
Yeah.
were looking at me like I was after smoking the biggest bong in the world,
Oh, I
and
know.
I
I
was tripping.
know.
And then I just shut up because I thought, how do I know this? And then when I went to Auschwitz, only there a few years ago, I didn't have the same feeling. But when I went there, there was a red rose in every single place I went. There was a single red rose. I mean, there must have been about 500 roses between Auschwitz and Birkenau, and I knew it was St. Rita. And somebody had gone there just that morning when I arrived and put red roses everywhere. And I had brought a red rose from St. Rita for the gas chambers in Birkenau, and it was dried red rose petals, and I went there and I went down the steps into where the remains of the chambers were, and I
Yeah.
put some in Auschwitz, and I released them there, and I was so overcome with emotion because I knew it was part of the healing process of the Casa connecting to all of these horrific criminal
Yeah.
activities in the world. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, there's 130 wars going on in the world. There always has been 130 war, uh, world wars. It's just that we know more about them now because of the internet, and I'm not diminishing them in any way. Our
No.
job is to hold the line, and our job is to show up, be present, and pray, lunatics, to really raise the vibration of the planet. It's the only way we're going to
To be
evolve.
aware,
And
but to be aware of it, but not to be in it. To
there
be
you go.
aware of it, but not to be where in it. You can be aware of what's going on, but our focus is to raise the vibration and the energy and to do our, to pray for peace and what have you. Yeah, we need to be aware of it, but do not get engrossed in it. That's the trap. Don't do it.
Thank you
Stay
for
stay
reminding me.
elevated. Stay elevated.
Yeah, which can be challenging when you're out in the real world, as you know, because you're working in the real
I lock
world. And
myself in my house on my days off. I
yeah,
I deal with 1,000 people every 3 days, 800 to 1,000 people on these planes. I'm so over peopled by the time I'm done. I come home and I lock myself in the house. My neighbors are like, "We haven't seen you in forever." I'm like, "I know." I
yeah,
know. And I'm okay
because
with it.
but you have transmuted that energy of all those people,
Yeah. Yeah.
yourself,
You
just
just never know. You never know what's walking on the plane. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come on the plane that are going to where their child is because they were killed that night, and they have to go fly down to go identify the body or what have you, or somebody lost their grandparents, or You just never know what people are going through. You never know. So you just have to
Exactly.
hold the light within yourself and you have to pray for them. You have to realize what I've had to learn, realize is I'm not perfect. I'm human and I just do the best I can do. That's
Yeah.
it.
Which shines from you all
Yeah,
the
I appreciate
time.
that.
And
No,
I mean, even the
I have
times
my
when you,
moments. I'm human. I have my moments.
yeah, and
But
even
but but I
sometimes you're
will
like,
always bring it back. I will always bring it back.
yeah, which is great because at least you know your
Yeah,
limitations. And we're not
yeah.
perfect beings. We
No.
probably will spend more lifetimes. I don't know. I
Yeah,
have to go to a planet with chocolate. But I just find that at least you say it out and then you come bring it right
yeah.
back. And I love your little posts when you are saying, "Oh my God, I had to listen to this, but then
Uh,
everything is okay and everything is fine,"
if I have
and
to
it
listen
makes
to
me
this crew member's
happy.
cat stories one more time, like, do you want to see my
Makes
kids?
me
No, I
laugh.
don't. I've seen 50 pages of them. I don't want to see anymore. No, but
It just makes me laugh because it's so human and so um,
yeah,
you're so compassionate and you're listening, even
yeah,
though you may want to, you know,
yeah. Yeah, it's
kind of
just,
walk away or,
oh,
just, oh,
lock myself in the
yeah,
bathroom for a minute.
yeah,
But
and
no, it's,
breathe, or bash your head against the wall a little bit. But that's human life, really. And
yeah.
that's, I even find it out here in the world. Um, you know, people are so, they just go from one end of the day to the other. There is no spirituality in their lives. And that's
People
not,
are spirit. We're not talking religion here. Religion
no,
has its place and it's needed. We're
yeah,
talking there are people, there are so many people in this world that are spiritually starving. They're starving. It's like you just, I want to sing this little light of mine.
I
You know, raise
know.
the vibration, don't get caught up in it. Don't, it's a trap.
I know
Transcend
exactly.
that, transcend that.
Yeah, and that has to be kept reminded quietly in the back of your mind. You can't say it
Yeah.
out loud because they're going, "Excuse me."
Sometimes I do sing it out loud
I know, or you're humming it,
and
and
they
then
laugh.
yeah, which is lovely, and
Yeah.
it disperses that tension within them because they're in a
Yeah.
state of fight or flight, and you would see it much more so on
Survival mode.
aircrafts. Exactly.
Survival. They're in
And
survival mode.
and now with so many, I mean, you have a better chance of being killed in a car accident with people texting here. I mean, it's
Oh,
everywhere than in an aircraft,
oh, I
but of
know.
course people get nervous with aircrafts because they
Oh,
just blow it up to all sorts of proportions. But for you, you're right. You just I can see you just kind of smiling your way down through the
I
airplane.
protect myself every morning before I get on that plane. If I
Yeah,
get up early enough in the morning, I'll share with you in my hotel room. If I get up early enough and I'm not supposed to get up for another 45 minutes, I'll YouTube the rosary and I'll listen to the rosary. You have to do it. You have got to do it in today's world. You have to keep your energy up. There's
yeah,
enough in the world that's trying to take us down. You got to keep it up.
yeah. And
That's why that's
I
why we're here. That's why we're here,
I know,
you
and
know.
especially now
Yeah.
because we're coming into the second half of this
Yeah.
year, and I know this year is a watershed because I could
Yeah.
feel it coming for years,
Oh yeah.
and I knew 2025 was going to be the first half was going to
Yeah.
be a little bit sort of rocky, but now I know coming in. Now, the next
Yeah.
6 months is just going to be what the beep. But you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready for anything. I'm staying elevated. I'm not even, I, it's not that I'm tuning out or dumbed down. I'm just not engaging in that, lower energies because I know I can recognize them coming a mile away now. I can see
That's
them coming.
exactly it. That's exactly
Uh,
it. Those of us that are aware enough know when we're getting, you can almost watch it and like I can watch whatever program or whatever, from whatever channel, and I watch them all because I want to hear what they're all saying. And you can see the agenda.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
And
so it's so obvious. I'm like, I mean, unless you are completely still spiritually 100% asleep in this world, how can you not see the forest for the trees here, people? I mean, how can you not?
exactly. And
Yeah.
also, I don't believe a lot of what is being pumped out there engage with it that much, to tell you nothing but
No.
the truth, because I know my truths. And
Yeah.
as I always say every day, don't damn the darkness, light a candle.
Yeah.
So my spirituality, rather than I go to chapels and churches, and I go
Yeah.
in and I light candles because I'm
That's
multiplying the
your
light.
intention.
And
Yeah.
that's what really, I'm stopping, skidding to a halt.
Right.
In Northern Ireland the other day, there's this castle. I was like, what that there? And I go up and I know that people were incarcerated there or whatever. I've got holy water. I bless the place. I take a couple of pictures. I say a few prayers. And then I look and I see the church is called the Church of the Holy Trinity. And I got my triangle from the casa. I got my earrings. I got, and I just know I'm completely protected. But I also pray for the
Yeah.
souls that suffered there because they need to be released into the
Yeah.
ether now. And I know the ancestral work. My first cousin dropped in yesterday. My whole entire family tree back to 1768, and some of it's not pretty. Uh, because you know.
Some of us don't
Uh,
have to throw a stone too far.
oh no, we're all in this together, and I mean it's like
Yeah.
bachelor, spinster, bachelor, minor.
Uh,
And minor is like under 16, and I'm like, holy God, because in those
uh,
days that's people got married when they were 16 and stuff. And then some of
yeah.
the stuff in the family tree is like, holy moly, there is a tendency in our one side of our family for people to get depressed. So it's all ancestral ties that I know. The entity told me years ago, and I figured it out practically myself. And when he told me, I was just nodding, going, "Uh-huh." I knew you were going to say that in my mind. He said, "You're here to do the ancestral work of your family." And I almost said to him, "You're bringing apples to the orchard." But when he said it, it was such a wonderful um, uh, nod to
Acknowledgement.
me, but it
Acknowledgement.
was also scary as hell because I thought, oh my God,
Carrying the cross. You're
man,
carrying the cross.
and then I was thinking, oh, no wonder I drank so much when I was a kid,
Oh,
and ate firelighters and was hallucinating when I was 5 and 6 years of age, because that was petroleum, that's snorting petroleum stuff. So I
yeah.
was kind of, not your average child, but I knew somehow I was on the planet for a reason that was kind of not to get married, not to have kids, because I'd done that before, and this wasn't my job this time around. And I
Yeah.
was just too busy doing all the ancestral work, which suddenly fell in the letterbox the other day. And it's only the beginning, it's only one side of the family, but it's all fine. It's not, it's kind of funny because you're reading
Yeah.
about these people who are happy. They're not dead. The dead aren't dead.
No.
They're spirits. They're all around me.
Yeah.
The pictures on the wall. There's a 16-year-old marrying a 40-year-old there on the wall. So I'm like, it's all okay. I'm not afraid of it anymore because
No.
the casa taught me to have no fear. There's nothing to fear. I
Sometimes when I go in the hotel rooms, over
oh,
there's
oh,
been, I've been flying for 27 years. There's been three, three times where I'm like, no, I'm not sleeping in this room. Of course, I go downstairs and I'll just say, oh, it smells like smoke. I'm not getting into that conversation. I'm like, oh, it smells like
oh,
smoke. Hey, can I get another room? Yeah, there's been three times definitely in my career where I've changed the room. I'm like, no, I'm not sleeping in here tonight. you know.
No, and you're better off because I have been in rooms where I hadn't one
Yeah,
wink of sleep, and there have been
yeah.
uh, some altercations in the night where I'm literally fighting off. I don't have enough holy water from the well. Well, I have water everywhere now. I mean, I go prepared now. I even have the moss from the Druids, that the moss from the
You need to
altar
send
of.
me some.
I'm going to send you
Definitely. I'll put
my
it in my
stuff.
shoes. I'll
I
put it
have
in
it.
my shoes.
It'll soften the blow. But I have the protection now, and there is nothing like a set of rosary beads and a few
I have
crystals
them in my bag. I have them
to
in my
keep
bag.
off
I have,
the to
yeah,
stave off those really
yeah.
heavy ones that are coming after you. And of course, every time now, every single day, and it's been happening for a couple of years, but they've really upped the ante this year. There are feathers everywhere. Not only the black feathers from the crows, but
Messages,
the lovely little
messages,
white
messages.
ones, the little white ones. I mean, they are everywhere. And I'm picking
Yeah.
them up left, right, and center. And I'm walking and talking with people, and I'm picking up, and they're going, "What are you doing?" I said, "Guardian angels." And they're like, "Oh, yeah." Because if you say guardian angels, it kind of can relate to
Yeah.
us. Parents kind of Catholic. If I went, there's a fierce battle going on now between Archangel Michael and Lucifer, and it's
Oh,
coming to
yeah.
Earth, you're going to get thrown. You're not
Yeah.
going to have
There's
many
wars
friends.
in the galaxy. There's wars in the galaxy.
You don't know friends. I mean, nobody would want to talk to you. They run away
Oh,
from
you'd
you.
be a Looney Tune.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, as it is, I still have to be careful. Um, my
You get
friend
old
really,
enough. I mean, I think I'm getting old enough where I'm just letting the cat out of the bag more and more. Oh, we've heard of you. I'm like, okay.
oh yeah, well that's
It
good
just, I
because
don't even, it's like, whatever. Okay. It is what it
yeah,
is.
I need to go with it, and you don't get people coming up, going right up to your nose, going, "What do you see?"
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I,
when I'm flying with crew members and I'm like, oh, I already know where this is going. The second day they'll start talking about spiritual stuff, and I'm like, okay, they've heard about me from somebody that I've read. They kind of like, I'm like, oh, okay, they've heard about me. So yeah, I've become quite the commodity to fly with.
oh, I'm sure, and I'm sure it's
It's
fun
funny.
too.
It's funny.
Because you can twist it into a lovely, funny little story too, even
Yeah.
though, I can see death coming in, the death card.
No,
Um, it
I
doesn't
don't work
matter.
that
I'm not
way.
afraid of it because we're all going in the same direction anyway. And we're lucky to be playing in the second half now. Healthily, I hope your nose gets fixed, which you probably will tonight after this conversation, and also that we are enjoying the
Yeah.
second half of our lives. I mean, I never thought I'd hit 40 at the rate I was partying,
I didn't
but
think I was going to make it till I was 50.
yeah,
I always thought I was not going to make it till I was 50. But then later on in life, I said, if I make it to 50, I'm screwed because I'm going to live a long time. Because they
yeah.
all live forever in my family. Like my dad's 87, my mom's 82. I honestly didn't think I was going to, my poor mother, I put her through so much. I used to say when I was 12, I don't belong here. I'm not from here. I don't want to be. I knew I
Mm.
came down this time kicking and screaming. I knew I came down kicking and screaming this time. I am
Yeah.
100% confident, but they showed me something that made me come, so I don't know.
Well, I was actually at the beginning of the line beating people with my elbows, going, "Me first. Get out of the
But
way, me first."
I was like, no, I don't want to go. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, I probably
Uh,
dragged you with me, but I was
you probably did. That would be
Yeah, I
something
said,
to
"You're
have.
coming too. Hey, you, come here. You're coming too." And I was like, "Get me down there now." And
Yeah.
I even found my mother's diary of my birthday. And I
Oh,
was like 9 pounds, 7 ounces. I was born at 7'10". She had it all written down, and I was like, oh
oh.
my God. I mean, who has this stuff in their lives? I mean, everything is in this house. I was born upstairs. So I'm
I
kind of
I
in
was born
this.
in a snowstorm.
Oh my God. And I'm sure they were freezing,
The snowstorm. It was a snowstorm, a
I know.
nor'easter. No,
I know, and
geez.
then you were kicking and screaming, of course.
Oh, so
But I mean,
funny.
keep doing what you're doing, Matthew, because it's very important, and
Yeah.
it is um elevating the energy on the earth. I mean, even your little tiny messages, I get it. I totally get what you're saying, and I really enjoy
Sometimes it's
that.
cryptic.
Yeah, and it's not, there's no big pictures of people with, entrails hanging out or all this
No.
bullshit political
Right.
shite that I don't care about. You're
Yeah.
just fun. It's fun, and you're like, oh my God. But it's hilarious, and I get it because I
Yeah.
get you, and because we're sort of connected at the hip.
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, I feel like I met you last week in Abidjan, even though it's been 8 years or something
8 years
stupid.
or something like that. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's really made me the whole experience. The thing that I take away from it the most is just I really, 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 truly miss just the connection of going somewhere where you're working on yourself, you're working on your spirituality, but also that everybody that's there is doing the same and they're wanting the same. I miss that something terrible. I do. It's just, I haven't found my tribe here in Maryland. I haven't found, a spiritual family down here. And,
Yeah.
wonderful people that I've met. Monique from Canada. Freaking
Mm.
love Monique. I love her, love her, love her.
I went to
You
see her in
know,
Highbridge in New Jersey because I
yes,
love her so much.
yes,
And I hope that next year we can coordinate, and I think that we will be able to coordinate, whether it be Easter or Dom Ignacio Day, whatever way we work it, that we will all come
yeah.
together,
I'm
and it
in.
will
Sign me
happen.
in. Sign me in.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people that are hearing this come to, please.
yeah, because
It's
I think
just,
we really need to just go, oh my God, you're still alive.
I honestly think not only that, I personally, I feel that when this happens, and it will, um, it's, I'll just leave it at this. It's going to be very profound. It's going to be very
Yes.
profound for everybody there. I really do. I mean, I can feel it in my bones.
Yeah,
So
and I think that it will really nourish us, mind,
yeah,
body, and spirit.
it's a
And as
recharge, a reset. Yeah,
Yeah, and also as a group consciousness, as a family, because we
yeah,
are a family, you know,
yeah,
we are connected as one family. And I always felt that with the Casa. And I
yeah.
always said that in the current. And that is going to happen. And I think this is a great time to finish up our
I
conversation
do
because
too.
that is the perfect way that it will come together organically and we will all be together laughing our heads off at,
Oh, so much fun.
whatever is there, a bumblebee or a hummingbird or just,
A platypus,
ourselves.
a platypus.
A platypus, yeah, we can get one of them and
Why
laughing
not?
at ourselves,
Why
just
not? Why
having
not?
fun,
Well, you look marvelous, my darling,
yeah, and I love you.
and I
And I
love you
will
more.
and we
Mwah.
will see each other soon and fly high and keep doing what you're doing because I love it.
All right, honey bunny. Take care.
Okay, darling. I
Bye
love
bye.
you. Thank you so
Love you more.
much. Ciao, ciao.